Look at my credit card statements. 60K.
What I spent in September living in New York City with no budget, having fun and going out clubbing and stuff was $48,429.53. And then for shopping, I spent $18,824.90.
I do not care.
She claimed to be one of the richest Asian influencers on TikTok, flaunting $60,000 credit card bills, private Pilates classes, and clubbing sprees that cost more than most people's annual salary. Her name? Mei Zhang, or Mei Long, or Lu Mei, depending on which alias you catch her under. Her videos were hypnotic. Flashy statements, soft aesthetics, luxury handbags, and spending breakdowns that screamed, "Trust fund, baby." But behind the filters and fabricated captions, something didn't add up. Why did her background always look the same? Why did she avoid showing her full face in most luxury content? And how was it that every time someone asked a direct question, she either deflected or deleted the comment entirely? That's when the TikTok sleuths came in. What started as whispers turned into digital detective work, and what they uncovered was far more than just an influencer fibbing for clout. They found lies, stolen content, a web of shady businesses, and allegations of forced labor, fraud, and exploitation that run through her family tree like poison. The more people looked, the worse it got. From fake giveaways and ghosted customers to the reveal that her famous closet wasn't even hers, Mei's digital empire began to collapse in real time. And what emerged from the rubble? A portrait of a young woman possibly cosplaying an entire fake life while real people suffered behind the scenes? So how did she pull this off for so long? How deep does the deception go? And what happens when an entire identity built on illusion begins to unravel, one TikTok at a time? Mei Zhang's rise to fame didn't come from dancing, acting, or comedy. It came from excess. Her TikToks were a front row seat to what looked like a billionaire heiress's life. In one viral video, she casually shows off her American Express charges, $48,000 on partying, nearly $19,000 on shopping, and thousands more on private Pilates, luxury groceries, and Wi-Fi that costs more than most people's car insurance. "What I spent in September living in NYC with no budget," the caption read. She presented herself as a girl who knew no limits. Her spending breakdowns became her content, as if showing her bank balance was a form of storytelling. The more she revealed, the more addicted people became. It was like watching Gossip Girl, except this wasn't TV. It was TikTok, and she was Blair, Serena, and the Upper East Side all in one. Her content became more and more performative, screenshotting 60K credit card statements, logging into Amex to prove her balance, even noting that she didn't have a preset spending limit. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't humble. And for a while, it worked. She attracted hundreds of thousands of followers who genuinely believed they were watching a glimpse into the life of a next-gen Chinese mogul's daughter. She wasn't shy about the aesthetic either. Designer handbags, luxury shopping hauls, flights, and overpriced birthday weekends in New York. It was aspirational overload. One video showed her paying off $27,000 in credit card debt on a whim. Another documented her decision to spend $85,000 in a single month, nearly half of which was just for clubbing and having fun. The implication was clear. She could do whatever she wanted, whenever she wanted. But even early on, cracks started to show. Some followers noticed inconsistencies, reused shots, vague explanations, and TikToks that conveniently skipped the how behind all the spending. Still, Mei kept the fantasy alive. If anyone questioned her, she'd brush it off or block them. After all, who needs receipts when you've got a luxury closet and a phone with portrait mode? What viewers didn't realize was that this wasn't just a performance. It was a strategy, a curated illusion. And the cost of that illusion was far higher than $85K a month. At first glance, Mei Zhang's identity seemed polished, if not a little mysterious. Her TikToks presented her as effortlessly wealthy, socially elite, and borderline untouchable. She never addressed where her money came from directly, but the clues were all there. Private workouts, designer bags, mortgage payments that made even the wealthy blink. She didn't need to explain it, she just showed it. And people assumed the story behind it was as golden as the lifestyle itself. But soon, rumors began to swirl. Some TikTok users started speculating that Mei might actually be the daughter of designer Vera Wang. The theory wasn't completely far-fetched. After all, Mei frequently referenced being fortunate and seemed to have access to generational wealth. She even posted videos listing things she didn't realize were luxuries growing up, like having bills on autopay. That kind of casual privilege only deepened the mystery. However, this narrative began to crack under scrutiny. When curious followers tried to confirm the Vera Wang rumor, there was nothing linking them. No public connection, no family ties, and most importantly, no photos, mentions, or records tying Mei Zhang to the Wang family. A little digging online completely debunked the story. Vera Wang wasn't her mother, and if that wasn't true, what else had she fabricated? Then came the name changes. Mei appeared online under various aliases: Mei Zhang, Mei Long, Lu Mei. The inconsistency raised red flags for internet sleuths who suspected something more was being hidden. She didn't just change usernames, she reinvented herself over and over again. One name might connect her to a business, another to a controversy, a third to a friend group or a giveaway. It was all fluid, which made pinning down the real Mei nearly impossible. The vagueness extended beyond her name. Her videos, always heavily edited and aesthetic-driven, rarely showed full shots of her face, especially in the more luxurious settings. When asked directly about it in the comments, her answers were often cagey. She claimed it was just her aesthetic, or said she posted what she liked. But followers started noticing a pattern. The more expensive the setting or item, the less likely Mei was to appear in full frame. It became clear that Mei wasn't just protecting her privacy, she was hiding something. As more people began to dig, they realized this wasn't just a girl with access to wealth. This was someone meticulously constructing a persona from borrowed identities, online rumors, and half-truths. And behind that shimmering TikTok filter was a far more troubling story. Because once you pulled back the curtain, what you found wasn't luxury, it was manipulation. While Mei Zhang was online flaunting luxury handbags and five-figure shopping sprees, internet sleuths were busy uncovering something far darker, the source of her family's fortune. And what they found wasn't some glamorous inheritance or savvy business empire. It was a deeply unsettling network of alleged labor abuse, tax evasion, and human exploitation. Mei's real surname, as it turned out, wasn't Long. Her full name is believed to be Mei Zhang, daughter of Ziqian Zhang and Ah Hu, a couple based in Massachusetts. This alone shattered the image of her as a trust fund baby from a designer dynasty. But that was only the beginning. Ziqian Zhang wasn't just a restaurant owner. He was implicated in serious federal investigations. In 2011, an article surfaced outlining how Mei's father was under scrutiny for money laundering and immigration law violations tied to a string of Asian restaurants on the East Coast. Federal authorities claimed that Mei's parents owned at least 12 restaurants spread across Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Maine. These establishments weren't just businesses. They were part of a suspected network exploiting undocumented workers, transporting them across state lines and housing them in unsafe makeshift accommodations. Essentially, they were being used as cheap labor without rights, benefits, or protection. According to testimonies from former employees, workers were forced to clock in over 70 hours a week, without overtime or medical coverage. Taxes weren't withheld. There were no contracts. And if you got hurt or complained, you were either silenced or replaced. It wasn't just unethical, it was criminal. And all of this was happening quietly, behind the scenes, while Mei was going viral for posting $99 Wi-Fi bills and $2,000 Pilates packages. As if that wasn't enough, there were also reports that many of the restaurants under her family's control repeatedly failed health inspections. From 2003 to 2006, at least 7 inspections resulted in failing grades due to serious public health concerns. In some locations, inspectors found conditions that were unsanitary and potentially dangerous to customers and staff alike. And yet, the businesses continued to operate. It's worth noting that Mei's father allegedly used a fake American name, John, when dealing with contractors, further muddying the waters. One land surveyor confirmed this alias, describing how Zhang conducted business discreetly and often under different names. To some, this might seem like a small detail, but when paired with allegations of labor abuse and financial fraud, it paints a picture of a man actively working to cover his tracks. So while Mei's followers were busy envying her designer hauls and luxury routines, the reality was far more sinister. The money funding that lifestyle wasn't coming from fashion brands or generational wealth. It was potentially rooted in systemic exploitation, legal violations, and the kind of labor practices most people assume only happen overseas. And May? Whether she knew or not, she was the face of it all. By now, the illusion was already starting to crumble. But what truly shattered it was the revelation that even the luxury May flaunted wasn't hers. Her Chanel bags, borrowed. Her closet, allegedly not even in her own apartment. The lifestyle that captivated millions, pieced together from fragments of someone else's life, and that someone was her own friend. It started with a few sharp-eyed viewers who noticed inconsistencies in her background. The same white walls, the same lighting, the same closet layout. One person even cross-referenced her videos with an Instagram story from her friend Irene, and it was a perfect match. The closet May had been filming in, showing off expensive handbags and shoes, was allegedly not hers at all. It belonged to Irene, but it didn't stop there. People began comparing more photos, vacation shots, bag collections, even rooms, and discovered something disturbing. In many of the TikToks where May showed off her lavish lifestyle, she was either not facing the camera or was only visible from the nose down. It was as if she was intentionally hiding the fact that the locations and items she featured weren't hers. Then came the allegations that she was stealing Irene's Instagram content. Screenshots emerged comparing May's posts to Irene's older photos. In some, May appeared to crop out faces or repost nearly identical setups just days after Irene had originally shared them. It wasn't homage, it was digital identity theft, and her audience had no idea. It gets worse. According to Reddit users and former friends, May didn't just borrow content, she blocked those who called her out. One user claimed that after confronting May about using her photos without permission, she was immediately blocked. Others reported the same. May allegedly scrubbed any comment that hinted at her deception, building a feed that looked pristine, until you looked too closely. This pattern of digital mimicry extended beyond aesthetics. Viewers began noticing that even her "What I Eat in a Day" and apartment tour videos looked suspiciously curated. May rarely moved around in her space. Her videos were often shot in tight frames, showing only a couch or corner. The theory? She wasn't living in a penthouse at all. She was sharing a modest apartment with Irene, using carefully framed clips to make it seem like her own. And what about the cars? The private flights? The designer tables at exclusive clubs? More and more followers began pointing out that May never actually showed herself at those tables. Instead, she posted photos of receipts or vague backgrounds that could belong to anyone. It was performance. Content meant to suggest wealth without ever proving it. The more people uncovered, the more they realized May Zhang had built a TikTok empire on smoke and mirrors. And the scariest part? It worked. For months, if not years, people believed it. They followed her, defended her, bought from her. She wasn't just faking wealth, she was monetizing the lie. And the fallout? That's where things got really ugly. As the illusion of wealth began to fall apart, what emerged was something even more damaging. A pattern of scams tied directly to May Zhang. This wasn't just about fake bags or borrowed closets anymore. It was about money, real money, taken from real people. Fans, customers, and even close friends began coming forward with receipts, testimonies, and warnings. And the picture they painted was damning. It started with Depop. May ran a page where she claimed to sell authentic designer goods, bags, clothes, accessories, all supposedly from her personal collection. Given her online persona, it made sense. If she spent $50,000 a month, surely she had items to resell. But customers soon noticed a problem. The orders weren't arriving. Weeks turned into months. Messages were ignored. Tracking numbers were never provided. And when buyers demanded answers, their accounts were blocked. Then came the receipts. Not shopping receipts, PayPal disputes, email threads, DMs from angry customers who had been ghosted or flat out scammed. The accusations snowballed. May was selling fake designer items, collecting payments, and never shipping anything out. Some claimed she copied photos from luxury resellers to pass off as her own. Others pointed out discrepancies in the item descriptions and photos, noticing that the same bags appeared again and again, never changing hands, just reappearing in new listings. The scam didn't stop at Depop. May had also launched a series of Shopify stores under various names: Shop Sunlit Daisy, Shop Acacia Lily, Shop Kiosborn. Each followed a similar pattern: aesthetic branding, Instagram marketing, viral TikTok videos pushing the site, and then silence. No shipping confirmations, no refunds, and eventually, no website at all. One by one, the shops disappeared, leaving behind hundreds of complaints and a growing number of furious victims. At one point, the backlash grew so intense that a petition was launched. Hosted on change.org, the campaign titled "Expose and Stop May Shang's Online Fraud" detailed her alleged crimes, including fake giveaways, scam websites, and stolen money from unsuspecting young fans. The petition quickly gained traction, collecting signatures and testimonials from those who felt they had been conned. The message was clear. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a shipping delay. This was a coordinated grift. Even more disturbing were reports that May targeted vulnerable fans, many of them young women, who looked up to her, admired her style, and trusted her branding. They believed they were supporting a self-made influencer, not funding a fraudulent operation. And once they realized the truth, it was too late. Their money was gone, their comments deleted, and their concerns ignored. And the giveaways? They were allegedly just as fake. May frequently hosted free bag promotions on TikTok and Instagram, promising designer goods in exchange for follows, likes, or shares. But no winner was ever announced. No prize was ever confirmed. And anyone who dared ask about it was promptly blocked or dismissed. Over time, even May's former friends began to speak out. One claimed she had been using a friend's Instagram content to build clout. Another accused her of blocking them after stealing photos. The accusations kept piling up, and May's silence only made things worse. Instead of addressing the fraud, she doubled down on the illusion. Because for her, it wasn't just about content, it was about control. And as long as the lie was still profitable, she wasn't going to stop. While the allegations of fraud and scamming were explosive on their own, what made the May Zhang saga even more unnerving was the calculated way she orchestrated her image. Her deception wasn't impulsive or sloppy, it was methodical, carefully curated, and it extended far beyond just luxury aesthetics. Behind the scenes, May was allegedly building a digital ecosystem designed to manipulate the algorithm, silence critics, and manufacture fame. The first major red flag: her mysterious rise. For someone with no clear talent or public persona, her follower count grew rapidly. Suspiciously rapidly. While many influencers experience slow, steady growth, May's platforms, particularly TikTok and Instagram, saw surges that aligned suspiciously well with her "what I spend in a month" content going viral. But something felt off. Her videos had high views but disproportionately low engagement, unless you counted the same few usernames praising her in every comment section. That's where the alt accounts come in. Followers began to notice a group of user profiles, names like Yapple032091, IUP favorite clips, and others, that not only commented obsessively on May's posts, but also defended her against any criticism. They hyped her up with over-the-top praise, tagged her in videos made by other creators, and even attacked users who pointed out inconsistencies in her story. The behavior was so coordinated, some began speculating that these accounts were bots, or worse, May herself. It didn't stop there. These same accounts often engaged with other niche influencers in the same category: wealth TikTokers, fashion content creators, and digital socialites. But their mission always circled back to May. They dropped her name, commented, "You should collab with a Maylong," and artificially boosted her visibility in the TikTok algorithm. In short, they manufactured virality through saturation, faking engagement to trigger the algorithm and attract real viewers. Then there were the ghost accounts, abandoned meme pages, fake giveaway profiles, and now defunct influencer accounts May allegedly ran in the past. Users dug through internet archives and surfaced profiles tied to her IP, many of which were created years before she rebranded as a luxury lifestyle TikToker. According to some Reddit threads, these old accounts were once used to sell shoutouts, bait followers with fake contests, and build massive followings she would later sell or convert into her own. A former marketing worker even alleged that her father's businesses operated in a similar way, launching dozens of near-identical websites to bury negative press under a wave of duplicate content. It's all SEO manipulation, they said. He uses clone sites to flood Google so the bad stuff doesn't show up on the first page. The theory? May took a page out of the family playbook and applied it to social media. And it worked. For months, maybe even years, she controlled the narrative. If someone searched May Zhang, they'd see aspirational content, not accusations. If they looked through her TikTok comments, it seemed like she had a loyal fan base. But that fan base, it turns out, might have been a house of cards, built on throwaway accounts, bot comments, and recycled praise. It was a digital mirage. And just like the fake designer bag she sold, it only needed one tug for the stitching to fall apart. When people first started questioning May Zhang's authenticity, she brushed it off. A few trolls, a few haters, nothing she couldn't ignore, delete, or spin into a quirky TikTok caption. But the internet doesn't forget, and it certainly doesn't forgive when the lie runs this deep. One by one, her carefully curated details began to collapse. Not just her wardrobe or her spending habits, but her entire identity. It started with the closet, the iconic backdrop of her videos where May proudly showcased luxury handbags and high-end outfits turned out to be borrowed, specifically from her friend Irene. The confirmation came not from May herself, but from side-by-side comparisons of Irene's Instagram stories and May's TikToks. Same closet, same bags, same layout. And once that detail unraveled, it sent people down a rabbit hole of discovery. Next came the living situation. May had long implied that she lived alone in a high-end NYC penthouse, but eagle-eyed followers began pointing out that her apartment shots were suspiciously limited. Same angles, same tight frames, rarely a full tour, never any wide shots. Eventually, rumors surfaced that she shared the apartment with Irene and split the rent. No penthouse, no doorman building, just a carefully staged corner of someone else's home. The car? Not the Rolls-Royce she hinted at. Instead, people spotted her driving a beat-up Toyota, completely fine for a normal person, but wildly out of sync with the high society image she projected. And the private flights? There was never any proof. Just vague captions and luxury brand luggage. And when asked to confirm, May gave roundabout answers or simply deleted the questions. Then came her sister, Jenna. TikTok users discovered her account and were immediately struck by the contrast. Jenna lived modestly. Her kitchen, her clothes, her apartment, they all looked like what you'd expect from a regular New Yorker. No flexing, no hauls, just a girl living a relatable life. And when compared to May's over-the-top persona, the cracks grew wider. If they were from the same family, why were their lives so radically different? May addressed the comparisons in a TikTok, calling Jenna independent and saying she chose to live that way. But it didn't add up. If their family had wealth, why was one sister living in a basic apartment while the other claimed to drop $85,000 in a month? Unless, of course, one of them was lying, and the internet had already made up its mind about who. Even her own defenses were telling. When called out, May never offered receipts. No apartment tour, no car vlog, no full-day follow-along that showed the reality of her daily life. Instead, she leaned into excuses. I'm not in the creator fund. I'm doing this for fun. I don't owe anyone anything. But when you've built an empire on illusion, the absence of proof feels like proof itself. The final blow came from her behavior. Videos of her laughing uncomfortably while rattling off expenses, smirking when asked serious questions, avoiding eye contact with the camera during high-stakes conversations. An AI-based lie detector even went viral analyzing her micro-expressions and flagged several of her statements as deceptive. It wasn't definitive, but it confirmed what many already believed. May was playing a role, and the mask was slipping. At this point, the internet wasn't just questioning May's wealth, they were questioning everything. Who was she really? Where did the money come from? Were her friends in on it? Was she living a double life? Or just playing pretend for likes? Whatever the answer, one thing was certain: the fantasy was over. And all that remained was the fallout. Once the internet turned on May Zhang, it turned fast. The same audience that once admired her for her discipline and taste now felt duped, angry, betrayed, and vocal about it. Comments on her videos shifted overnight from fawning praise to brutal takedowns. She wasn't just being criticized, she was being exposed, roasted, and picked apart by thousands of users who had once bought into her fantasy. People didn't hold back. Some called her the Asian Anna Delvey, comparing her to the infamous fake heiress who conned New York's elite. Others accused her of committing digital fraud, using aesthetics and manipulation to trick young, impressionable viewers into sending money or support. Her Depop store became a frequent target, with commenters posting screenshots of their unfulfilled orders and DM conversations that ended in ghosting. One person even wrote, "She's a scammer cosplaying someone else's life and getting away with it." But the backlash wasn't just online noise, it had teeth. Multiple creators made deep dive exposés breaking down her lies frame by frame. Reddit threads popped up daily with fresh receipts. Some users claimed they were gathering documentation to pursue legal action over unshipped items and misleading business practices. The previously mysterious aura surrounding May was now under harsh public interrogation, and she had no escape route. May, for her part, didn't disappear. Instead, she went live. In a shaky live stream, she tried to explain away the mounting allegations. "I'm not in the creator fund," she insisted. "I don't care about followers." She claimed she started TikTok to get over an ex, not to make money. She talked about being cheated on, about how she didn't think it would get this crazy. But to viewers, it didn't feel like transparency. It felt like damage control, and weak damage control at that. When questioned about the apartment tour she never posted, she avoided the subject. When asked why she never announced winners for her giveaways, she said she didn't owe anyone an explanation. When people brought up her stolen content, she chalked it up to a shared album with friends. But the excuses didn't land. The receipts were too many. The timeline didn't add up, and the people weren't buying it anymore. Meanwhile, her loyal defenders, many suspected to be burner accounts, flooded her comment sections trying to spin the narrative. "She's just a girl having fun. You guys are jealous. It's not that deep." But even casual viewers could see through the act. The same usernames appeared over and over, typing nearly identical messages across multiple platforms. It was an echo chamber of her own making, and it was collapsing. May tried to humanize herself, bringing up her sister Jenna as an example of how everyone in her family chose different lifestyles. She emphasized how her brother preferred to live humbly, while she chose luxury. But this only raised more eyebrows. If her siblings weren't showing off wealth, where was hers coming from? The truth is, May had overplayed her hand. She had made herself the face of a fantasy, and now she was paying the price for it. Not in dollars, but in credibility. And for an influencer, that's far more expensive. So who is May Zhang, really? Is she just another content creator trying to keep up with an impossible digital world? Or is she something darker? A scammer who built a false empire on the backs of fake bags, fake posts, and real victims? The lines between influencer and illusion have never been blurrier. And May? She didn't just blur the line, she erased it. For months, she convinced hundreds of thousands of viewers that she was living a dream. Penthouse views, limitless spending, designer closets, and first-class everything. But behind every "what I spend in a month" video was a growing pile of inconsistencies, contradictions, and outright lies. Her closet wasn't hers. Her content was plagiarized. Her money? Tied to a family empire accused of using child labor, immigration abuse, and laundering funds through shady restaurant chains. The real luxury wasn't what she owned, it was how long she got away with it. The story doesn't end with exposed TikToks and viral Reddit threads, because this isn't just about May. It's about a culture obsessed with image. about a social media economy where the loudest flex gets the most clicks, where faking it until you make it is not only accepted, it's rewarded. May is just one of many. But her fall from grace reminds us all just how dangerous the illusion can become when there's no one checking the receipts. And now that the receipts are out, the entire persona has collapsed. What started as admiration has turned into mass skepticism. Her followers don't trust her. Her critics are louder than ever. And the internet, well, it never forgets. You can change your name. You can block every comment. But once the truth is out there, it lives forever. So what happens next? Does May come clean? Does she fade quietly into the background? Or will she rebrand again and try to start over under another name, in another closet, with another lie? That's for time to decide. But one thing is certain. The days of trusting what we see on our For You page without question, those days are over. And maybe that's not a bad thing. What do you think? Is May Zhang a con artist, or just a cautionary tale in an age of performative wealth? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, digital deception, influencer scandals, and the real lives behind the filters, make sure to hit like, tap subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because the next expose, it's coming. And trust us, it's wilder than this one.